Hey, welcome back, gamers, to another episode of Part-Time Gamers Club. I'm your host, Gio. Alongside me, Gerard and Mike. Say what's up, fellas.
So
Eh,
So, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Gears of War E-Day game and how we were surprised and somewhat excited to see a new Gears of War. So, guys, as you guys saw on the showcase, it was the last game that was talked about. I want to hear from you guys what you guys thought about seeing Gears of War in the trailer, on the showcase, shall I say, and a trailer of it, and what feedback or, I guess, hope you have for the game. Gerard, we'll start with you.
okay. I liked the trailer aspect of it. I know they didn't show much gameplay, but for really, it's Gears of War. I can imagine the kind of gameplay, but like, I would love to see more. Honestly, the trailer definitely left me wanting more information and hopefully a little bit of gameplay. But it definitely has my attention. It was like, oh, to like, I want the Gears of War to be good, the next Gears of War to be good, and then now I'm just like, all right, tell me how is it gonna be good? Because if they go back to the old systems, there's nostalgia at play. If they do a new system, it'll be different than 4 and 5. But I think as a prequel, there's a lot of nostalgia that comes in because we are playing with characters that we've seen entire character arcs on. So the trailer definitely plays into that, showing both Dom, especially. I try not to spoil it. That's why I'm trying to really work around not spoiling.
First name
Dom.
you said.
Well,
Instead of Marcus.
shush,
Mine
shush,
starts with
shush,
Marcus.
shush. Seeing Dom, a beloved character, and Marcus, our main character, both show that had that young aesthetic. They definitely don't, like in Gears of War 3, they had that heavy, gritty, it's been a long duration. And now we see them as their young form before we even seen them in Gears of War 1. So this is like basically going, oh, I've seen your entire life. Now I get to see the points that you've started to get trauma. I get to see the origins, which is a huge thing for us as gamers, and most importantly, Gears of War fans.
Mike, what'd you think about the trailer for Gears? Did it pique any interest? Did you say, yeah, this is interesting? Or like, have you ever even looked at a trailer of Gears? Really looked at the game Gears?
I'll be honest. No.
See?
I really didn't care for it. Don't hate me, but
We
I
already
just
did.
never got into it. The trailer itself, I thought it was interesting at best, but if I don't know any of the other Gears, it was kind of hard for me to kind of like, I guess, follow per se. But I just never got into Gears. I just wasn't. I know the characters when Gerard just mentioned their names. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. But
I really think you played the first one with me for a little bit because I remember Steve putting us onto it, and we'll talk more about that later. But for me, for seeing the trailer, because I kind of ruined for you guys because I told you guys, hey, they got a Gears of War, and because I watched the actual live, so I saw it when it happened. I was surprised. I was taken back by it. It made me excited because obviously Gears of War is, I don't want to say it's my favorite, but it's probably top 3 gaming series of mine because I can't. It's hard for me to say anything above Final Fantasy and like Zelda. It's hard when I say gaming series. So for that moment, I was excited. Like you said, Gerard, seeing Dom show up to pull Marcus up. That got me hyped. I'm not gonna lie, and that's when I realized, oh, this is a prequel. This is okay. And then when they put E-Day, oh, this is when it happens. This is when the locusts invade the planet, and this is when like you said, this is when it began. We get to see how it all took place because Gears 1 is actually 14 years after E-Day. So there's a huge gap there, and like you've gone through 2 and 3 storyline, like you said, they're real gritty. You can see they've been battle tested. They've been through War for the last 20 plus years. That's all they've known. So it's a huge difference. I will say I played a little bit of Gears 4, so I hadn't played really 5. I didn't play 5 at all. So this game is drawing me back to the series. I'm excited to see what they do with it. But I think it's important that we talk a little bit about our history with the game, so people understand why we are so excited about it and looking forward to it, Gerard. Yeah, me and Gerard, and then we'll see what we got to do to get you to try it.
So do you want to start? Or should I?
I'm gonna let you go.
All right. So my history, I will say it's basically tangled with yours, so I will just be spoiling a little bit of Gio's history, because I started playing the game because of you, because at the time Gears of War came out, I don't want to say it was me, Tyler, but I was playing other games. I had my PlayStation, and Gears of War was an Xbox game exclusive, so I could not play the game until I went to your place when you had an Xbox and had Gears, and I would play it constantly there. Until the point that when I got an Xbox, I bought Gears. I bought Gears straight up because I played Gears 1 with you and played Gears 2 on my own Xbox, and then we played multiplayer Gears of War 3 together, basically. Because this is very back in the day where we had co-op that we can play in Gears, where I was on top screen and you were on bottom screen, playing online, because Gears of War had a feature where you can play duo online, which we did.
It was hard though. It was kind of hard though, because it messed up your vision. You were so used to seeing so much, but yeah.
Exactly. That's why I definitely got Gears of War 3, and we played online on that.
So for me, obviously, it started with Steve, because he had the Xbox. I didn't have the original Xbox yet at that time, the 360, shall I say. I believe it was 360. Or was when the first Gears? Yeah, Gears came out on 360. So yeah, when Steve brought the 360 first, that was one of the games he had for it. So I started playing it. I fell in love with story mode. It was me, Alex, playing it a lot. I really feel like there was times when you played it with me, Mike. I just think, like you said, you didn't really gravitate to it for whatever reason. I didn't play Gears 1 so much for the multiplayer because, like I said, I didn't have the console yet. It's when Gears 2 came out that I had my own Xbox 360, started playing it. Loved the storyline, finished through that. That's probably one of the last story mode games that I played for a game, honestly, the Gears ones. Gears 3 hit me a little harder. It kind of felt like maybe this is why it's a favorite of mine and it's nostalgia for me at the same time. Gears 3 obviously is when he loses Dom. That's the same year Steven passed. Yeah. What?
Spoilers!
Well, but a disclaimer, bro. Gears of War 3 been out for forever.
Spoiler.
You're not gonna go back and play them all. We're gonna see if we can just get you to try E-Day. I
guess I don't know if E-Day is going to be people's first time playing the game, and they might go back and play Gears 1 through 3, knowing how it ends.
Possibly.
I will say I do like the idea behind it, making it as a prequel. It can encourage people to play, maybe just replay Gears 1, 2, 3.
Because this leads up to a remaster or a reboot of 1 through 3.
Yeah.
I think what's going to be pretty funny to see, though, Gerard, I want to ask you what you think about it now that you said that. I wonder if players are going to be able to notice the difference, like we noticed the difference between the Coalition making the games now and how Epic made it. Now, I'm not saying the Coalition hasn't done a great job with multiplayer and how it feels, but there is a difference. I can tell. I don't think their storylines have been as strong. That's been the critiques of 4 and 5 compared to 1 through 3. So that it's going to be interesting to see how they do the prequel. I'm interested in seeing if maybe they talked with Epic Games at any point just to get an idea of the originators' ideas and concept behind E-Day so they can implement it in their game. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you think on that, Gerard. if that's even a possibility or would be even cross their mind.
I think it crossed their mind. I don't think it's a possibility though. There's just way too many. I don't want to say loopholes. I want to say hula hoops to jump through.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of theatrics and a lot of basically lawyer talk that needs to go around to get that to happen. And from what I know about the gaming industry, that is a very hard thing to do. So it may, and we don't know how long they've been working on this Gears game.
Oh, a while.
We know that. We do know it's been a while. We do know it's a long time.
5 was, I think, 2019. So obviously, I'm not saying they started it right after 5, but
we don't know when they started. But
they've definitely probably taken their time.
So the question is, did they in that time go through all the talks that needs to be done to do that? I will say that the game made by Coalition still isn't a bad Gears. It's still a good Gears, and even if they it's still like a game made by Coalition and it feels like that, it still would be good in my opinion, because now that Coalition, this would be their third game that they made, so they've at least have been working on Gears of War for a very long time. I do think with that mindset and that experience, especially after releasing 2 Gears of War, that they can put out a good Gears of War game. Because in my opinion, the Gears of War universe is like amazing and peak. And if all you do is just build a good game on that universe, the game cannot be bad. It can't be. I mean, you can mess that up horribly by messing up like the storyline and the plot line. Yes. But like, as long as you keep that element right, because the world's already pretty much built. Epic did all the work. So
yeah, correct. I like I said, I think the Coalition has done a great job, especially 4 had a pretty good multiplayer. I'm not gonna lie.
I played 4's multiplayer.
Yeah. So I won't knock them. I just say, as the playing from the original games, you could tell the difference. There is a difference, not huge, but I feel like players are going to notice that, especially going from E-Day. If they jump back to 1, 2, and 3, they're going to notice that. Even the storylines, they're going to notice the quality of the story mode. Because I feel like that's definitely been a critique, and maybe that's why I didn't really gravitate to Gears 4 so much on story mode. I just kind of jumped more to the multiplayer, which Gears, I never do that. Gears was like what you said when you Call of Duty. I usually play the story mode first for Gears and then jump into multiplayer. But 4 did not grab my attention like that for whatever reason. And I just went straight to multiplayer. So I just think that's going to be interesting to see.
All right. So I think I already forgot what my train of thought is. That's what I think.
Your expectations?
My expectations, yes. My expectations for the game. I expected when it releases to be... I think it's going to do basically Call of Duty numbers. Like, because Call of Duty is what... or Call of Duty was to majority of PlayStation players was Gears to Xbox players. Xbox players had both Gears of War and Halo players. Those are the 2 main people that were played on Xbox, was those 2 people. And if you weren't one, you were the other. That's just how it came down to. Call of Duty took over like the first person scene, but third person was basically Gears of War. Gears of War was the most popular third person shooter. So we'll see how the modern audience is, because this is going to be it's been a very long time since Gears 5. You said 2019, so this is like majority of the new age teenagers and young adults. This is the first time they get to see or basically the trilogy Gears of War setting and the theme. And the question that I'm hoping gets answered is the world, the dark world that is Gears of War, suited for today's taste? And that is not an expectation, but a prediction I have is that we might get more articles talking about the dark universe of Gears of War and whether or not it is appropriate in this day and age.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because honestly, I'm gonna start with that. That's something that's actually been on my mind, because obviously it's E-Day, right? So you think about it. This is when
we also forgot to mention, if you haven't played Gears of War, E-Day is Emergence Day.
Yeah. Yep.
This is what it stands for. I know a lot of people didn't know that when they found out like later on, because in Gears of War 1, they only like in the beginning they referred to it as E-Day, and you don't know it's Emergence Day until like later in the game.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm interested in seeing it, because this is when the world basically gets like taken over. And I think, like you said, that's going to be interesting, because it's a dark world. It's a very brutal world. It's a very gory world. I feel like there's going to be a lot of violence in this game, a lot. And like you said, will it be suited for people taste these days?
It's definitely going to have violence. You don't feel it. It's 100% going to happen.
No, but I'm saying I feel like it's going to be on a different level. If they were to do it, because I feel it has to be correctly. Because like you said, in 1, 2, and 3, this is already 14 to 20 years later, 30 years later. So this is their way of life at that point, right? I feel like in E-Day, we're going to see what kind of, I guess you say, changes Dom and Marcus. You know what I mean? Because the world they know at that time basically is going to get rearranged and changed and destroyed in a sense. It's going to become a whole different world, and they're just going to be wrapped in war for the next 20 plus years of their lives. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, when they didn't have that military to defend the world like that, and seeing all the people get massacred and stuff like that. And knowing how Gears is, I feel like it's going to be a very brutal game for people that have never played it. They might, if you like that stuff, you're going to be really into Gears of War from this game. I feel that's my predictions, because I feel like they're going to do that, because you have to do that in a sense when you're trying to do an apocalypse type moment. I feel. So it feels like you should have something to say.
I know there was a thought that crossed my mind, and we're trying to formulate the words for it, but it's basically, I do actually, the moment you brought it up is the brutality of it. I thought about Doom, and Doom's popularity recently, especially with the new Doom game coming out. I won't speak on it much, but it's called Doom Dark Ages, and the popularity behind Doom, the same people that are like hype for it should be also hype for Gears of War in that same regard. So there might be that audience there that would gravitate towards Gears of War, and it would be publicly accepted due to the fact that you can say, hey, the things that are brutally being harmed in the games is technically not human. It is not another race, or excuse me, not another human being. They're like anthropomorphic. They're different, like entire different species that lived underground, subterranean, things like that. And in that regard, Doom does the exact same way. It takes that extra steps. Like, we can be brutal and violent in the game because it's happening towards demons and devils. So as long as like they cut that line, I think they can get away with it. But I was gonna ask Mike a question.
That was two.
Yeah. So I think it's time for our very favorite session of how do we get Mike to play this. Mike, what would it take you to play?
We gotta buy it for him.
If that's all it took, I would do it.
I feel like he would like it, because, all right, so Mike, do you like games that the story mode has like a good co-op system?
That's
because Gears of War has one of the best co-op systems ever in story mode. I'm being honest with you. That's not me being a fanboy. What do you think?
I was gonna say, I don't remember Gears 4 having a co-op.
Yeah, they did. No
story.
You sure?
I don't remember.
Pretty sure they did.
It's been a long time. Yeah. I don't definitely remember it being good.
I told you the story mode didn't really. Yeah, you might be right. But 1, 2, and 3, Mike, were one of the best co-op games that's why I said I played with Alex. I thought we played a little bit with you when you came over every now and then back then. But it is one of the best co-op games. So like even if maybe the multiplayer doesn't draw you, playing the story is fun as hell usually. So I'm hoping the prequel kind of goes back to that formula that from 1, 2, and 3. So like you said, you like the idea that's doing a prequel because people are not going to get drawn to a game that's already at 5 and 6. They don't know the story. It's very hard to get somebody to, start that gaming series when it's already that far up there. So if you get this game, right, Mike? If we buy it for you and we tell you to play it, because usually they used to do, was it a 3 or 4 co-op you could do, I think, back in the other ones? So we could do all 3 of us. That's my point. If you were to try it. Would it take just us buying it? That's what it is.
I mean, you could buy it and I could play it and I'll see how it goes. But I'll be telling you guys no promise.
What is it deterring you from the game?
Correct. Yeah.
I just don't. I just never got into it. And
have you ever watched any gameplay trailers of it? Have you actually watched other Gears of War games and how they looked, how they played?
Yeah, I have seen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It takes a lot for me to stay interested in a game for a longer than quite a while.
Well, that's the good thing, Mike. That's what we're trying to tell you. Literally, we can do the storyline probably in 3 to 4 hours straight play. Am I right? Am I wrong, George?
I don't know about that. That story was a long fucking time.
The third one was really long. All right, we're gonna say
maybe I don't
4
know
to 5
about
hours.
1, but 2 and 3. 2 took like I think it was
maybe
a total
like 10
gameplay.
hours, 12
it was
hours.
10 hours, and then game 3, Gears 3 was like a while. It was 15, 20 hours of story, which it's not a determining factor, by the way. That length of game story, if anything, goes up if the story is good. If the story is good, give me more of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a determining factor. Like I'm thinking about Mike, because Mike, besides Apex, do you play a lot of third-person shooters?
Apex ain't a third-person shooter. You don't play it. I don't know if Mike's really played much third-person shooters like that.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. I think that's what's throwing him off as a third-person aspect.
Because they usually weren't that. There wasn't really a big popular third-person shooter game like that before Gears. Realistically, think of one. Army of Two was kind of cool, but they didn't have that fan base that Gears does. It was not as big of a game. That's the only game I can think of that's similar in that play style.
It's it's hard for me to think of one right now of a third-person shooter that's that old. Because the one I thought of immediately was like Fortnite. I was like, wait a minute, that came after.
Yeah, and that's Epic Games. That's Epic Games again. So I think you would like it if you actually tried it, and especially playing with like me and Gerard, because at least you're playing with people you know. And if you have questions, we'd answer your question because we know the story. So, like, obviously, we wouldn't want to spoil it for you. But if you really weren't keen on playing the other ones,
shit, don't ask me any questions. I'm not answering any of them.
If you weren't keen on playing the other 3, but you want to know the story of the other 3, we could speak on it. I can't speak on the story of 4 and 5 because I didn't play them. I already told you guys that.
I know the general story of 4 and 5 because I finished 4 and I saw the direction of 5. And I watched trailers. I watched videos for this 5 story. Because I just didn't want to buy the game. So
I think you'll like it because, especially the multiplayer, it's actually fun. It is fun. The multiplayer is fun as hell. But it's one of those games like, I know you, Mike, you don't like to really play by yourself. You don't really like to do the multiplayer by yourself. So you want to be with a team. And it's usually a lot better anyway because it's just like any other teamwork kind of game that is better when you have people that you can talk to and play with. And
Call of Duty, I kind of would do better by myself.
Yeah, but
Call of Duty is a different beast, though.
I tell you what, Gears is not as I won't say it's not toxic, the multiplayer, but it's not as toxic as the other games we play.
It's going to be toxic because now every game is toxic. So It is not toxic because it's Gears anymore. It's toxic because it's a game.
Oh.
It's toxic. But
I think he would like that play style too, the combat, like the sliding against the wall, the cover.
So like the cover system is the biggest aspect of Gears, and it plays a big part of why the game is third person, is because the majority of combat is between corners, like fighting over corners. Like there's a lot of people that would I think Gears 3 is a good example, just running around with shotguns and just bodying
literally
people,
coming around people in the corner, because people would be corner shooting you with that shotty.
Yes. And then you would fight long range battles with like rifles and things like that, but like the game is really like up close and personal. Like you are fighting within inches of each other.
Yep. And you got to be really good at reloading, because it's important to do that perfect reload.
It has a QTE reload animation that you constantly do, but you get a benefit if you pass. You get a detriment if you fail.
No, you really do. Yeah, sometimes you could jam it, and then you're.
And if you mess up the QTE, the reload animation is longer, and your next few bullets are worse. They do less damage. But if you do the QTE successfully, like you perfect it, you get a quicker reload and your bullets do more damage. So to do the reload was literally the skill curve of the game. Can you reload? Otherwise you just suck. If you can't get that down.
I think the important thing for Mike, and the only thing I think that would deter him if he tried it with us, and multiplayer especially, is the wall bouncing. You have to get good at wall bouncing. If you cannot, really, that just means, because you can slide up against a wall and then bounce back.
We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. We can't make suggestions on what all the features are. I'm pretty sure covers are still going to be a main aspect of Gears, but we don't know if they change the movement and if wall bouncing is going to be in E-Day. But I do think that's all our main points. I don't want to predict anymore, especially with Mike not being able to give his honest opinion.
Yeah. We'll have to see more trailers. Obviously, 2025 is the release as of right now. No official date in 2025, but I'm sure a lot more will come out soon enough, information on it, and probably more gameplay trailers. So I'm excited for it. But if that's it, I don't know if you guys have any more closing statements, anything else you want to say, Gerard, as for Gears?
Nope. Looking forward to it.
Well, guys, that's another episode for us. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we're out. Later.
See you.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Part-Time Gamers podcast. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And follow us on our other social platforms on TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. Links for those will be provided in the description. Thank you again. We will see you on the next episode of the podcast. And make sure you make some time for video games. Peace.